Are you the type of person who gets discounts here, there, and everywhere? Do you ask for discounts
Oh
everywhere you
yeah,
go?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're almost in everything, yeah, and with respect, so I know
Yes.
people need to make a living,
Yes.
but it's sometimes, you have to kind of know. I mean, again, the website case that I just mentioned, that was one where I said, look, I think I'm probably overpaying a little bit on that one, so I'll investigate, so certainly,
Mm.
but it's not like the role of money at the end of the day is to enjoy it,
Yes.
and it's to live it, and it's to have enough that you're not, putting it all away for the future that you never get to. It's actually have enough, but it's also making it stretch and using it. So
Mhm.
it's one of the greatest tools ever invented, but we have to kind of manipulate it. And so we use a couple of very simple rules with money. It's about living, laughing, and saving for the future. And so it's about having some fun now as well. So it's about just stretching it out as much as possible and keeping a bit more in your pocket. That's it.
Yeah. Okay, I have a man who's this good at getting discounts with me. I can't let you go after just 7 phone calls. Is there anything else that you'd recommend?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of his timing and time, very often, like let's say I'm doing a couple of seminars in a couple of weeks, which is back to school or pre-Christmas ones are coming up in September, so we're talking about those. And very often the problem that people run into is they don't give things enough time. They get caught out. They get caught with emotional spending. And so one of the things I look at very often with people is what's your financial personality? And are you likely to, we have different types, for example. Are you likely to display money and perhaps use it for a display of who you are, for example? And so I find that Christmas spending time is a very stressful time for people, but they
Yes.
often don't allow enough time to plan ahead, for example. So time is of the essence. And the other thing broadly for most people is having knowledge. So the biggest areas that I would say for most people right now in Ireland is when it comes to their savings. Most people are afraid of the concept of investing. And I would say you can use ETFs for that, exchange traded funds for that. And they have performed well. And we look at them over the last 100 years, some of them. They've grown on average 10% a year. So the biggest mistake that people are making with money in general in Ireland is they're leaving a lot of money sitting on deposit accounts that are earning zero. And
Yes.
that is being eroded by inflation. So that issue itself, I've developed a new calculator that allows people to kind of see the value of that. And so the challenge for most people is they are fearful of investing, and so I would say for most people, pay attention to what the government's going to do later this year in terms of the new kind of investment scheme that they're talking about. I think it'll be a tax treatment. But I think the other side of it would be don't be afraid of the investment markets. Despite the taxation, despite the deemed disposal, you probably will still make money on that.
Yeah, and you've been busy working on a financial literacy program, which we might chat about
Yeah.
in a couple of months' time. But I'm very excited about that. It's going
Good.
to be in schools across Ireland.
Well, that's the intent. Yeah, it's aligned to the curriculum for both junior cycle and senior cycle, but it has six key pillars: earning and income, looking at pay slips, gamifying some of that, saving and spending, what are the behaviors and what's your personality, investing, credit and debt, looking at your credit history, for example. So very often I'll find people looking at buying a house will ask questions about FICO scores, and that's a term they use in the UK. They use it in the US. We would have developed the first ones in the US when I worked there. We don't use them here. So
Mhm.
there's a kind of a disconnect between what is actually on the ground and what is out in the market. We look at investing, climate change, for example, how that impacts. And then we look in terms of budgeting and money management. And we have a seventh one, which is your financial personality, which is who are you with money? And that's a real lot of fun because it gets a great discussion going. So, and the idea ultimately is to say, let's enjoy money, let's understand it, let's manipulate it, let's work it, and let's have enough for now and for later. That's
And
it.
have you trialed that in a school context where you've asked actual school children to describe their financial personality?
Oh yeah, we have great fun. Oh yeah,
Okay, what comes up?
well, one of the questions very often what you see is because when I do it with the students, for example, I do it as a show of hands. And so you'll see some students that are kind of guessing a little bit, they're kind of waiting for all the other hands to go up. So, but some of them are spenders, but they'll kind of go, well, I'm a saver. And so it's great fun, and the teachers like that part of it. So that part is great fun. We have saver spender, we have the investment profile, for example, we have different types in there. So yeah, that's good fun, because suddenly you're kind of getting the sense of why isn't I know that hand wants to go up, but they're not putting up because they're
Mm,
waiting for the audience. So that's good fun, yeah, and it's
yes.
good and interactive. But on their own, they know that they have certain behaviors, and even with adults, we have these things like individuals. For example, we'll have showstoppers. The showstopper will project a certain image, and they'll wear all the latest fashions, but again, they will struggle with other concepts then, and so for them, it's important to project a certain image. And I'll say that's great, but let me show you something else so you can continue to do that right throughout your life and you can do other things. So, and it's not about saving, it's not about how big your pension pot is. It's ultimately about what quality life are you going to have and what do you
Mm.
want. And I can kind of build that for you, but I need to figure out who you are first. So students are much more honest. And I have to say that I did this in primary school a couple of years ago, and I was shocked at some of the questions kids were asking. One kid at age 9 was asking about the merchant accounts and the tracking of your bank account. Could the merchant see into your bank account? And I thought, I have no idea where this question came from, but it was super smart. So we assume sometimes that these kids don't know. I see kids in secondary school that are investing in ETFs, asking about SpaceX shares, which have been plummeting in the last couple of days. But again, they're informed and they're inquisitive. So it's to free that inquiry nature and then to guide it and say, we're not going to tell you what to do with your money, but if
Hmm.
you do X, Y, and Z, this is likely where you'll end up. So where do you want to go to?
Yeah. FinTok gets a bad rap because, there are a lot of people on there, selling bogus cryptos and all the rest of it. But that was clearly the gateway for those kids
Yeah,
who came with that smart. It was
yeah,
obviously the entry point.
yeah.
And then they went off and did thorough research.
Yeah, and I think the challenge is that certainly with some of that side of it, you can have a lot of American knowledge. Like let's say take the very simple thing of the credit score. With the credit score, I worked in US banking. We developed the first algorithms around testing it and predicting certain behaviors.
Oh,
And so we thought that would never work. And then eventually when it did work, we were shocked because they were able to predict certain behaviors of consumers. That is used in the US and it's used in the UK with Experian. And if you don't have a good credit score in the US, you don't get credit. You may not get the job. You probably won't get the apartment. You may not get the good car insurance premium. You may not get admitted to the private hospital. Whereas in Ireland, we're much more forgiving, but kids can come back and say, the question that comes up all the time is, should I take out debt in order to qualify for a mortgage? The answer is definitively no. So you don't have to go down that route, but you may have to do it in the UK, for example. And that's where FinTok would come in and say, well, this is the information that's accurate in the US, Canada, the UK.
yes.
So there is that little bit of hybridization. And the other side of it is in Ireland, when it comes to investing, kids don't always understand the deemed disposal side of things and the level of taxation, which is 38% on the exit tax. So they assume it's much, much lower. So, and they're shocked when they kind of learn that side of it because again, I've got another tool that shows kids how the tax kicks in and they're shocked. They're horrified at the level of it. So they are clued in.
Mm.
They just need more guidance in certain aspects of it. And we probably need a few more products as well.
That was fascinating. Thank you so much for coming on, Frank.
You're welcome.